Evening, everyone. It's about 10:20 in the evening here, East Coast, and this is the replacement for my video number 248, which was my closing comments. As I'm sure you've already seen in tonight's Daily Note, the markets were up across the board. Dow up 369, Nasdaq up 190, the S&P up 49, and the big winner being the Russell again, up 39 or 3%. That was the leader. Volume was a little on the light side, and advanced declines were okay. I don't think particularly representative of the size day that we had here. New York Stock Exchange was 2.5 to 1, and the Nasdaq was 3.5 to 1. We had earnings early this morning, and both actually were okay, and yet both stocks fell pretty substantially. In the case of Target, it was down over $3.50, and Lowe's beat, but was basically unchanged. There wasn't a whole lot of news until later on in the day when there was a story going around that Chinese stocks could possibly be banned from New York trading again. The problem is, of course, that stocks that raise money here that originate in China do not have the same requirements for listing, nor do they have to file the same type of forms that we do, and that leaves American investors kind of on the short end of the stick. The two that were the biggest problems today were Alibaba, which this week has gone from 200 to about 222. It reported earnings yesterday. It was up big, and today, after this news, they came well off the highs, about two-thirds up on the range, but Baba closed around 217, and Baidu, which has had a tremendous run in the last 3 days, but actually started last week in the mid-90s, had a high of 121 today, and ended up closing at 108. The biggest Chinese name, of course, has been Luckin. The stock has been down dramatically. It was suspended about a month or so ago on the basis of their CFO being found out as to have cooked the books there. The stock, which was in the high 40s, had fallen to about $4.50, $5. Today it closed at $2.82, down $1.57, or 36% more. We also had a first-time event in the Treasury market, first time since 1986, that the Treasury actually actively had an auction for a 20-year note. It went off extremely well. There was what's called a bid to cover of 2.5 to 1. That's like saying that there's an IPO with 10 million shares, and the underwriters get orders for 25 million shares, 2.5 times as much. And there was also, after the close, news of a takeover made by Aurora Cannabis, ACB. They're buying a private U.S. company called Reliva, Reliva. It's an all-stock deal, and they value it at $40 million, which is kind of interesting because just last week, Aurora Cannabis was reversed 1 for 12. So the fact that it was trading at 16 today was kind of a misnomer. 16, excuse me, 16 in last week's prices are about $1.40 a share. So when the news comes out and we have a little bit better idea of what Arriva actually is, what kind of valuation it is, we'll be able to have a better idea about the entire transaction. Tomorrow we have news as usual, the initial and continuing unemployment claims. We also have existing home sales, Philly Fed, and the conference board's leading economic indicators. That's about all for tonight. Sorry about the lateness of it, but after 5 or 6 hours and it still says processing, I have to figure it has to be redone. Have a good evening, everyone.